If you don't believe people in this country haven't been living above their heads, above their means, please watch this video, leave a comment, share this video, and make sure you subscribe. But I've never seen so many high-end cars here. Mercedes, S-Series Mercedes. There has to be 5,000 cars here because this thing goes all the way back to where you see that yellow building back there. Just in this one parking lot. Then we have another parking lot over there. Then there's another parking lot on the other side of that hill over there. I mean, there's got to be over 5,000 cars just in this parking lot right here. Yeah. Then there's another parking lot there. Yeah. Then there's another parking lot on the other side of that hill. There's got to be over 15,000 cars here today. And then we don't even know if there's more across the street.
Yeah, well, the thing is as I was talking about this earlier, that people, just because they had a year or two that they did very well because of, 2020, 2021, 2022, people thought that they could afford these types of vehicles, so they drowned themselves in debt. And then now they're realizing, like, wait a second, we're all going back to normal where these inflated economy is coming down, so people cannot afford these vehicles.
We got the ADP numbers today with private sector jobs. I think it came in at 37,000. It was very, very low. Yeah. Although we got the job numbers earlier in the week, and it said that we increased 191,000 jobs, I believe, and there's 7.4 million jobs out there available, which, of course, many really don't exist because there's a lot of fake jobs. There's a lot of part-time jobs. I'm looking, I don't know about you, but have you noticed how many Mercedes, BMW, Audi, Porsche, Bentley, Rolls-Royce, luxury cars here that are well over $1,000, $100,000. These payments are well over $1,000. What is this telling us?
Well, this is telling us that people went way over their heads on these vehicles. Instead of buying something that they could afford, just because the dealership says yes, you walk into a dealership or the bank says yes, we'll approve you for this loan, it doesn't mean that you can properly afford it. They're in the business of making money. They're in the business to collect interest, and it's your responsibility to be able to take accountability for your payments and for the amount of debt that you can actually truly afford.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I would say, like you said, a couple years ago, people were getting the free money, the unemployment benefits, the stimulus checks. People were able to leave a job that was paying them 40, go across the street, get a job, paid them 60. And now we're seeing the downsizing across America with these mass layoffs where companies now are just trimming the fat. They're looking at the bottom line, and there's no loyalty to the worker, but there was no loyalty from the worker to the company either, because people were bouncing from one job to another. If they can make 10 or 20,000 more, they left a job that they were at for 5 years to go to another place that offered them $20,000 more a year. But then now, as things have kind of adjusted, companies are like, hey, we don't need you anymore. And so again, there's just no loyalty on either side, but most would probably argue that corporate America, there's absolutely no loyalty to their workers. And I would agree to that. You are just a number, just like the cars here. They're just numbers. And there is, I don't know, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars of cars here today. Especially when you look at the price of a Rolls Royce at $500,000. And there's plenty of those here. The Audi right here, that's over 100,000. You're seeing multiple cars here, S-Series, Mercedes, well over 100, G-Wagons, 200. I mean, yeah, it's no big deal to see a car worth $200,000-$300,000 in this parking lot. And then there's another lot up here that just primarily has Porsches in it. We'll get to that, so we'll cover as much ground as we can here. Unfortunately, I was unable to bring the drone here today. I forgot it. It would have been great to fly the drone over to see all this, because we can only see so much, but it is an ocean of vehicles. And you got to ask yourself, why are we not seeing better deals in the used car market when there are so many used cars coming to market?
Well, I think a lot of it too is these prices, they're probably suppressed. These vehicles, I'm pretty sure that even though they have them in inventory, they're trickling them out. And because if they decided to just put them all out there for people to buy, it would crash the market.
Yeah, and they're saying that another thing from what I've been seeing over the past 12 months is that at the auctions, they're still asking high numbers at the auctions, and nobody's buying the cars, so the cars will just stay. or they'll go somewhere else. And so now we're just getting a bigger pile where they're looking for places to park all these cars because they can't stay here. More cars are coming in as we speak. More cars will be here next week. So they got to move these cars out, and they're going to put them on lots somewhere. They're going to put them in fields. There's a field across the street here. Last year when I was here, they had a lot of cars over there, storing cars in fields. They can't stay here. So, I mean, think about, this is just one auto auction. And I think Manheim has 3 of them. I think one in Orange County, one in Fontana, and the one here in Riverside. This is just one of them. So think about the amount of cars that are going to auction that have been repossessed, or yes, some of these cars have been turned in from dealerships. I get it. There are thousands of repossessions here today. We've never seen the amount of repossessions in America that we're seeing now, and this is where they come. And so this is a real good indication of what's happening in the auto market. The flood of cars. Remember, they told you won't be able to buy a car. You're just not going to be able to buy a car. Take a good look, ladies and gentlemen. There's 5,000 cars right there. Right there. Enrique.
Yeah. You know, if you can afford a car, make sure that you pay for it in cash if you can. Don't drown yourself.
Or at least be able to pay it off in 3 years.
Yeah, I would say a good rule of thumb is no more than 36 months financing. If you can give a very healthy down payment, then at least that's proof that you can properly afford the vehicle.
Enrique, really quick, a lot of these cars were bought over the last couple of years at an elevated price.
Yeah.
These people are so upside down. Mm-hmm. They spent some of these cars, they spent 20, 40, 50,000, maybe 100,000 over. Mm-hmm. G-Wagons were going 100,000 over MSRP. So there's so much money owed on these cars. Uh-huh. How do they ever get the money back out of these cars?
You can't. And a lot of people, there's still people out there that make a very decent amount of money that have vehicles that are in negative equity, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. I see it all the time online. But the thing is if you wanted to get rid of that negative equity, it's not easy. If you want to get yourself into a cheaper vehicle, you need to have the cash position to be able to get out of it. If not, unfortunately, you're going to be stuck paying that vehicle until you can bring down some of that negative equity. And even then, a lot of people think that just because they get into a lease, that they can get out of it. But no, that negative equity, you will owe it. Yeah. I've actually personally known people that have drowned themselves just purchasing a new vehicle.
Just rolling one over to another, to another, to another.
And before you know it, you have a vehicle that probably has a worth of like maybe $25,000, but you owe like $70,000 because you're just rolling over that negative equity. And sometimes the banks will do it if they see that you can actually continue to pay it. If you can provide them proof that you can continue paying those types of payments, they will roll over the negative equity because they want your business.
So it goes back to the old saying, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. And this is a really good example of it. Continuing to mosey down here a little bit. I mean, just every aisle, there are just hundreds of cars down every aisle. Yeah, this is the most cars I've ever seen here. I don't think you could squeeze. I mean, they even have cars right here against the wall. There's cars here against the wall. Yeah, one thing I do want to say is a lot of the luxury cars here, and there are a lot from, Rolls-Royce, Mercedes, BMW, Audi, Porsche, you name it, is the maintenance cost of these cars. And I think when people felt like they had a little bit of money, they went out and bought, a $125,000, $200,000 car. They didn't realize what it costs to maintain these cars. Oil changes, tune-ups, brake jobs, things of that nature. And as soon as people started feeling a little bit of the squeeze, there's no way they could continue to even maintain these cars on top of the large car payments, $1,200, $1,500, $2,000 a month payments. So again, this is where these cars land up. And it is really shocking to see. But here's another parking lot right here. It's all the way over here. Massive, massive parking lot of cars over here. And right here, I'm not sure. I think this is where they may check the cars over right here in this area. What do you think, Enrique? It looks
it looks like there's a base.
Yeah.
Making sure that they're working, run and drive.
Yeah.
whether if they're, because right here they have a lot of run and drive vehicles. Some of them are inoperable. Obviously, they're getting them ready to make sure that everything's okay for auction.
Yep. And you don't know really what you're going to get here at auction. You buy it, it's yours, and you don't really know. And that's another thing too is, people that don't have the money to maintain these cars, whether it's a Toyota Corolla or a Phantom Rolls Royce. If they don't have the money to maintain them, you don't really know what you're getting. And a lot of times these cars, have not been taken care of. Luckily, there's a lot of newer cars here that I don't think are too bad a condition, but it's a gamble. You're going to spend $100,000 on a car today. You just don't really know. That's the risk.
Yeah, the risk is always out there when you buy a used vehicle. You know,
from the auction.
Yeah, and especially if you got your car repoed, or if you know you're going to get your car repoed, you don't take care of the vehicle as well. So that's why a lot of the times they have a lot of deferred maintenance, and there's a lot of things that can go wrong with these types of cars.
And these are expensive cars when something breaks.
Exactly. So you have someone who was maybe driving around in a luxury vehicle, not doing the proper maintenance on it. Yeah. And now they're dumping the problem on you. Yeah,
brake job on an S550 Benz is going to be thousands of dollars. And if that car hasn't been maintained with oil changes, brake jobs, tune-ups, things of that nature, man, these issues can be thousands of dollars. So be careful if you're buying a car at the auction. But all right, we will continue. People are even getting cars repoed that are over 10 years old. People went out and bought older used cars because they couldn't get a used car because they were all sold out a couple years ago. So what did they do? They went out and got an older used car, and 10-year-old cars now are getting repossessed. So here's another lot. It's smaller, but these are all Porsches. Okay, these are all Porsches right here. All Porsches. So it just goes on and on and on, and we'll continue the adventure here. But just a parking lot. Looks like maybe a, I don't know, GT3 right there. Hard to say. A lot of SUVs. So I've seen a lot of people that maybe bought cars way over their heads. Comment down below. So we just came across the street to the airport. I think it's Riverside Community Airport, something like that. And they are parking cars over here. The airport's over there. This is all cars. There are, I'm going to estimate about 10,000 cars here. You can't see a lot of this on the video, but unfortunately I don't have the drone today. But it starts way over here. You can just see the ocean of cars over here. I'll try to zoom in. Let's see. There we go. Take a look at this. We just drove a quarter mile down the road of cars we just passed. We'll drive back and show it to you, but look at this. What in the world is going on? We can't even see how far this goes. And there's even cars on the other side of the airport. There's a huge ocean of cars down there. This goes up a quarter mile that way. And it goes at least a quarter mile that way. It's unbelievable. Never seen anything like this. Again, leave a comment down below. What in the world is going on here? How many car repossessions are taking place in America? Enrique, what are your thoughts? This is just mind-blowing.
It is, definitely. I feel like everybody's getting their car repoed at this point. I mean, how can you have... I wonder, what area does this span? Is this just Riverside, or maybe just Moreno Valley? Or is this just...
Southern California, maybe? But remember, they have 3 Manheims, right?
Yeah.
The one that you went to at Fontana, this one, and I think one in Anaheim. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. But they have like 3. Yeah. And this is just Manheim. There's other auto auctions, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, look at the extensive amount of cars. And then if we go to the other side of the airport, there's another ocean of cars. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Something's definitely going on. You know, another thing we'll add too, these vehicles are just sitting out here in the sun. We're now in June. It's getting hot. You're going to see 100-degree weather out here in Riverside. Just sitting here in the elements, the wind, the dust, the sun. And there are some very nice vehicles out here also on this lot. Where are they all going to go? Who's going to buy all these vehicles? And Enrique, what does this do to the new car market when it has to compete against the used car market? And we're just looking at, 15,000 cars today.
Yeah, the new car market's getting crushed. Who's buying a new car right now when you got all these deals? You can get a used vehicle that's comparative. Actually, you know what? The new vehicles are actually having a lot of problems.
But these are all newer vehicles too. These vehicles are a year, 2, 3 years old, 4 years old max.
Yeah.
And they're just sitting there with tumbleweeds blown by.
Any newer vehicle that was bought after 2020, a lot of them are having a lot of reliability issues. Yep. And what you thought was actually a reliable vehicle many years ago, like the Toyota trucks and the Corollas and even the Camrys.
Massive recalls.
Yeah, GMCs.
Ford Raptor right there, $100,000 in the white right there, just sitting in the weeds, 100 grand right there.
Yeah. Yeah,
wow.
It's just amazing how
Infinity Lexus.
They're letting all these cars rot in the sun.
Yep.
And it's unfortunate.
Just like, where do they go?
Yeah. Who's going to buy these vehicles? That's my main question. When? They got inventory here for years. Yeah.
We got utility. We got Mercedes vans up here, utility vehicles, box trucks, you name it. They got it. Yeah. All right, let's continue. All right, so we just came back across the street, back to the auto auction. It's gonna be hard to see, but there's another lot here, thousands of vehicles. And hopefully you can see that. So I turn over here, there's the airport, and cars galore. There's just so much to film, ladies and gentlemen. And it just goes literally, I don't know, it might be a half a mile down that way. It's more than a quarter mile of just cars. So you got a newer model X5 BMW right here. Calabasas plate. Just, man, it's unbelievable. All right, so we just drove about a half a mile down the road, and this thing continues into this lot now. More vehicles. Oh my gosh, it goes way back there. See if I can zoom that in a little bit for you, and you can see how far back that goes. So just continuing along, there's another parking lot over here. Should have some cars, and then this is, oh my gosh, there's just thousands here. Thousands. Some very nice vehicles back there too. Wow. Wow. So, oh my gosh. So there is, on the other side of the airport, very hard to see, there are thousands of more cars. There's another area where they have even more cars. It's unbelievable.
Maybe 24, 23.
So you got a 7 Series BMW right here. It's no more than 2 years old. Very nice. Very nice. Just sitting here in the dirt. We got another parking lot right over here of cars over this wall. I'm just too exhausted to even run across the street because there's just more to cover here. There's just more cars here. So we could probably spend the entire day. We need 8 hours at least to just cover all of this, probably more. Because who knows where else they got cars. But seeing is believing, ladies and gentlemen. Seeing is believing. You think things are that good? You believe in everything you hear on the television? I don't think things are too good. I really don't. By the way, we went to eat breakfast this morning. Check out Enrique Reacts. We grabbed some food on the way here. To tell you a little bit about what's happening in the restaurant business. Again, something is definitely breaking in the U.S. economy. You know it. You know it is. So don't fool yourself. You know, they bamboozled a lot of people by saying there was no, look at, they're unloading more cars here with the car hauler here. There's another 10 cars coming in. They bamboozled a lot of people by telling people that, you know, if they didn't buy a car, they'd never get another chance to buy a car. They did it with houses. You better buy a house. There's no inventory. This is exactly what's going to happen in the housing market too. You're going to see homes just piling up in inventory on the MLS. Sellers trying to get out that aren't going to be able to get out unless they severely discount the price of their homes. But this is what's going to happen in the housing market too. They told us the same song and dance as they did in the auto market, and now they can't get rid of these cars, and soon they're gonna have a hard time getting rid of these houses. These houses are gonna be piling up. You're gonna see a lot of inventory, but this is closely related. You're seeing a auto crash and a housing crash taking place at the same time. It's behind us, yeah. So we came to the other side of the airport, and I don't know how well you can see this. There are thousands of cars over here now on the other side of the airport. See if you can take a look at this. You see them, thousands. So we were up over there. That's where we were. That's where all those cars are. And now they've got cars at the opposite end. It's unbelievable. So comment down below. I mean, there's thousands of cars over here. Just incredible. Just absolutely incredible. Again, if you would, please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. Enrique,
Yes.
What are your thoughts on this? I mean, there's easily 4,000-5,000 cars over here at this end of the airport.
They can't find where to put them. They're out there looking for spots and say, where around this area can we store all these vehicles? There's no real estate for that. So you just got to come to the airport where they know that they'll have a lot of space. And I'm pretty sure they're paying them a good amount of money to store all these cars. They're losing money.
And there's probably somewhere else here in Riverside County where they're storing cars that we just don't see.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. There's a lot of places that I'm pretty sure that we're not even aware of where they're storing thousands of vehicles. What about all the luxury vehicles like Lamborghinis, Ferraris,
McLarens? Yeah, they're stored somewhere in warehouses.
In warehouses, you know, they're not going to leave those vehicles out in public for them to bake in the sun all day.
Like all these cars.
Yeah.
And there's some nice cars out here baking in the sun.
Oh yeah.
So what are your thoughts? Like, what is this telling us? What are you interpreting from what you're seeing here today?
Well, we know for a fact that we have a consumer that cannot properly afford their vehicles. That's very common nowadays. We saw so many car haulers on the way over here So this is definitely a trend. And I've talked to people that actually tow vehicles, and they do say that their activity has gone up a lot. So right now, that basically makes us aware that going forward, there's going to be a lot more inventory, right?
Yeah.
So for anybody who has cash on hand, the opportunities are coming.
Yeah, for sure.
And that is actually going to be depressing the prices of used cars. And I think I have seen that. There's a lot of used cars now that are actually getting more reasonable in price. It's very rare for you to have people trying to outbid each other for used vehicles nowadays.
This would have to put some amount of pressure on new car sales too, but maybe, I mean, I don't know. I mean, are these cars just going to sit here? How long will they sit here before they actually, we see them on a car lot somewhere?
Yeah.
I don't know. Are they going to suppress this so that it doesn't push new car sales down? I have no idea. This is very, very complicated. A lot of moving parts here. I've never seen so many cars in one place in my entire life.
Yeah, it's just amazing. And if we had a drone to be able to film, I'm pretty sure you'll see that there's even more out there that the eye can see.
Right.
But it is definitely going to suppress the car market, and used vehicles are the way to go.
Could this happen in the housing market?
Oh, for sure. And it's already happening. Every state is different, but I know that this state that we're sitting at right now in California, it has been having more and more inventory as the months go on, and little by little it's going to get worse.
Yeah. So there you have it. Sun is now coming out here, and hope you liked the video. Hope you got something out of it. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe.